I am certainly motivated by people's stories. I'm motivated by some of my words and by reading things and by watching things that make me want to perform better, want to be better.
The best thing about these people is these are everyday people, right? They're not talking about, yeah, it's great to hear the story of some celebrity who made it to the next step, but these are everyday people that are friends or acquaintances, and you see how they've got, and no one hears their story, right? Because, yeah, they may have hit it big in their
This podcast might be the biggest thing out in a couple of days, a couple of months. You never know.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just never know. And where did it didn't come from being in some big studio. It come from you three guys that grew up together, having an idea, putting it together, and giving people opportunity to let other people know about other people.
So, I mean, do you have a vision of where you might want to be 6 months from now, a year from now? Or are you just kind of enjoying the moment, which is totally okay, and you should, because it sounds like you're working really hard. But do you have any big picture plans of where you think you might go with this whole thing?
Yeah, I'd like to be able to make this, full time, and I'm just really trying to get my name out there. I've actually made a few signs for businesses that I made for free and asked if I could have it put up in their building. When people coming in, a really nice American flag, and I had like exactly how they have.
And she can tell us what exactly the book is about, what she, what words she does, and how the poetry. I think that'd be great.
Well, the name of the book is From the Heart. And it's words of hope and inspiration to soothe your soul. And that's really what I started out doing, soothing my own soul. And then before I know it, more and more people, as I mentioned, were supporting me to write more. And so that's how it came to be. And the picture on the front, I actually took that picture. And I took it at Brown's, Brown's.
Oh, yeah. Derek knows right where that is.
I wasn't good enough, right? I was doing a lot of comparison. Like I would compare my website at the time, and this was a couple years ago, to other websites and be like, okay, this isn't good enough. I'm going to just stop everything and I'm going to start changing things up. I did that a lot. And, I think it's so important that at times you got to stop looking to the left and to the right and focus. And even the not telling everybody everything. We are in a world where everyone feels like they need to make an announcement for everything, and they haven't even started yet. Why? What? Why? Like, imagine if I'm going to a car dealer and I'm getting I don't say like luxury car. Let's say I'm going to a car dealer and I'm about to get a car. You're not going to see me go on IG Live and be like, let me, let everybody see what I'm doing right now. I'm going to record it probably, but I'm going to post it after the paper is signed. Once I have the keys in my hand, probably about a month of driving.
I like to say that I've always been pretty interested in it for the last 3 years, and even started a little personal food stud just for my friends and family, because I was constantly just posting food on my own Instagram, and then wanted to kind of transition out of just posting it on there and having a place. And the reason I wanted to do it is I would go to these restaurants and then I would forget the name or forget what I ordered. And I'd get so upset because I'm like, what was that restaurant that we went to back in whatever at that place? And we just spontaneously went there and it was so good. I wouldn't remember. So I was like, I need to post and blog about it and write what I got and tag it so I can remember where it was. And that was kind of my inspiration for starting it. And then same with my own recipes is I think of a recipe in my head that I thought sounded really good. And then I don't keep a recipe book or write anything down. So I was like, I think a good way to do it.
I guess, is to elevate people. I feel like I enjoy extending a hand and helping people. And the way I look at this is I'm just kind of an antenna. You know what I mean? People have stories they want to tell. People, I'm really interested in their experiences, because that also I learn from those experiences. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean necessarily I have to experience everything to learn, but listening to other people talk and seeing how they've handled things, certain situations, I'm sure when I come across those situations, it'll resonate in my mind. You know what I mean? So a lot of the times me talking to these people are also me taking their experiences and kind of prodding and seeing what I can learn from them. But at the same time, I'm also talking to people who have their own businesses, much like you guys do. I have people that I'm talking to people that have something going or want to get something going on. So I try
like what Comic-Con is. I mean, not I know what it is, but maybe other people who don't listen don't know what it is, and what it takes for you to get that up and running.
Yeah, so Comic-Con's a pop culture event. Depending on it, San Diego is the original Comic-Con. I think that's the important thing for people to realize, and it's what is referenced in most, movies or TV shows. When they talk about Comic-Con, they're talking about Comic-Con San Diego. And it really, what a lot of people don't realize, is a nonprofit organization that focuses on the use of comics to help in education, right? And to encourage people who are more artistic and creative to learn through a different medium. And so the organization itself is actually mostly run by retired teachers or active teachers that all volunteer their time to further the use of the creative arts in education and to encourage artists to start writing comics.
Thinking on dealing with people that you knew were going to be having a hard time with this. What was your approach?
So my approach with many of my clients, it's similar to how I had worked with them normally. And I think what happened with the pandemic is it was such a disruption to that normal routine of getting up and, having your breakfast or rushing out the door, going to the office, and then you're going to the gym, like whatever it is that your normal routine is. So normally, when I meet with clients, we work with that normal routine and we try to fit in healthy eating and exercise with that normal routine. But when the pandemic happened, that routine was totally thrown out the door. So the things that people were struggling with was the lack of that routine and not having that structure of having a lunch hour at this time and having snacks at these times and coming home to dinner. So one thing I did a lot with many of my clients was almost just try to force that routine.
Yeah, I think, obstacles that I do think that if you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall, you need to stop and say, is this something I meant to do? And then am I doing it the right way? Like, do I need to be approaching this differently? And sometimes it's just time. It really is, and reflection. There are just so many lessons that you learn when you have those obstacles about how you persevere, how you overcome them. But, for me, I think even the times that the times that have been the most painful have been the catalysts for growth personally for me. And, I think that if you're only looking at the thing, I've got one goal in mind, there's one thing I'm going to do, you're going to miss out on your whole life. You're going to miss out on, the buried treasure that is all of the lessons
that
along
you do
the
to
way.
execute these huge events. And I think that that's kind of what I found super surprising, is that it truly takes a village. And I've said that my entire career because it's always taken a village. But coming into Vegas, people always kind of told me, oh, you want to work for a huge box, you can just book it and sit back and put your feet up, and I'm like, that kind of sounds cool, but I really like seeing the start to finish execution of things. And I really like the relational aspect of seeing things go from conceptual to experiential. And that was maybe something that I found so surprising, is that you really do, you book it and you turn it over, and then the next team takes it and runs with it and then hands it over. And then the next team takes it and runs with it and hands it over until you're.
It's interesting because when I worked for the Red Sox Foundation Mass General Hospital Home Base Program, it's a program that fights the invisible wounds of war. One of the most difficult projects that I ever put together, but one of them definitely the most rewarding. I think about it and I'm just so grateful. But even doing that, I didn't get the treatment myself.
Right.
So
you're done.
And that happens, so now it's just me working on myself to make sure I'm the best mom after being a good soldier for so long. But now I'm getting ready to retire. I'm looking forward to getting out of there. Yeah. So,
well, I want to catch the listeners up and like just kind of where you are at, because we touched on so much right there. But
you give us a little bit of listeners a little bit of background of what you do and whatnot.
Sure. So as you said, I'm an advocate, but I specialize in special education. So I assist parents and their children with accessing their educational rights from as early as transitioning from early intervention around 2.5 years old, all the way up through, in Massachusetts, the age of 22, when they transition out of special education into adult services. And I also support students in Southern New Hampshire up through the age of 21 as well.
And how long have you been doing that for?
It's been about 10 years.
Really? And I hear through the grapevine you're very busy.
Very busy. All of us are very busy this year. COVID has really thrown a tough one for all of us.
Yes, it has.
Like, is this meant to be or no? Like, at what point do you say, hey, like, let me hang it up?
I think that point is different for everybody. It's no matter what your passion is, it's when does that passion end? And that's got to be something that's deeply personal. I don't know that anyone can say, some blanket answer to, when do you know? I think you just know when you know, when it becomes more of a chore than something that you love. You hear people a lot of times that say, like, you just got to, if you want it enough, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's such, I don't know. Every time I hear somebody say that, it's like, that's not true.
That's what I'm saying. Like
you want to be, you want to have a level of success as an actor. There are things that you want to achieve as an actor. Do you not want it enough? Like,
yeah.
Of course you do. Of course you want it
enough. So where is the trip? You would mention to me on the text. Where are you going?
Okay. Yes. So if you saw my little bio, I have become an F1 fan.
I did see
Formula One racing. I watched a little show called Drive to Survive on Netflix. Somebody recommended it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm into this. 3 seasons later, I am now like Saturday morning, you will find me on my couch at 9 a.m. watching the qualifiers. And on Sunday, I'll be back at 9 to watch the actual race. Like I'm into it. I'm following half the drivers and teams on Instagram. Like I'm learning all the things F1. So, going to the original plan was to go to, the Italian Grand Prix, which is right outside Milan. It's called Monza, the track in Monza. That's the second week in September. There's 3 of us girls going.
Yeah, it's from my peoples in the streets. And this thing right here